Okay, this is an iPhone and this is... No. This is the iPhone and this is the Android. Wait, and what is that? So something is happening to Android and I don't think enough people are talking about it. Android, is it better than iOS? Maybe, it used to be back when it actually stood for something. Android was the rebel, the fun one, custom ROMs, modded apps, total chaos in the best way possible. Freedom wasn't just a feature, it was the entire point. That's why we picked Android, right? Fast forward to 2026 and things aren't looking very good. Google, the owner of Android, doesn't seem to care about any of that anymore. Sideloading, dangerous. Don't even think about it. Selling your personal data and spying on you? Absolutely, sign us up. Console emulation? Way too much fun. Better shut that thing down. Copying Apple and somehow doing it worse? Okay, back to this thing phone. This is the shameless Xiaomi 17 Pro. Look, I'm not here to touch anyone for copying homework. I have done it. Let's just be honest for a minute. You have too, right? But come on, man, how shameless do you have to be to do this? Now, to be clear, the Xiaomi 17 Pro is by many accounts an incredible device. Great cameras, blazing performance, silicon carbon battery. By the spec sheet, it's a flagship killer. But look at it. The horizontal camera bar, the flat edges, the titanium finish. When Xiaomi posted their first official teaser on Weibo earlier this year, the comments said the same thing and they weren't being complimented. Now here's the thing, Xiaomi didn't accidentally end up here. It was a deliberate design decision. And to understand why, you have to understand what's happening to Android's hardware as a category. There was a time when Android's hardware meant choice. Slide-out keyboards, modular phones, curved edges, flat screens, pop-up cameras. The entire point was that if you didn't like what Samsung was doing, you could buy something completely different from HTC or something unique from Sony or whatever this is doing from LG. But one by one, those companies either left the smartphone market entirely or converged on the same design language. And that language, it's Apple's. So how did we get here, and how does an entire industry end up copying the one company that they spent a decade trying to defeat? Part of it is market pressure. HTC is gone, LG is gone, Sony's phone division is a ghost. The companies that tried to be different either couldn't get the numbers work or couldn't get the distribution. What survived was the formula that sold big screen, camera island, clean slab. But the bigger reason is intentional. Chinese manufacturers figured out that in markets outside China, the iPhone is the aspiration. It's a thing people upgrade to when they can finally afford to. So if your phone looks like an iPhone, close enough at a lower price, you captured the best person who wants the status without the price tag. And Xiaomi made this explicit. They didn't just copy the design of the iPhone 17. They skipped the entire 16 series, jumped straight from 15 to 17, specifically to match Apple's numbering. And the sad part, on paper, it kind of works. The Xiaomi 17 Pro has specs that embarrass the iPhone. Faster charging, and this is the one thing they actually did different. The screen on the back. You can use it for selfies, notifications, music controls, and let's just be honest, Apple probably can't do that. Unless they make like a flip phone, maybe. Now, you might be thinking, well, maybe Apple just found the optimal design and everyone else arrived at the same answer. And that's a fair point, except it's not just a hardware. This is the Oppo Find X9 Ultra, best camera phone of 2026 according to half of the tech press. And honestly, they might be right. The camera system is genuinely exceptional. But Android Authority published a review of this phone with a headline I can't stop thinking about. And they weren't talking about the hardware, they were talking about the software. Oppo's latest UI borrows so heavily from iOS that it goes beyond inspiration. The control center is a near copy of Apple's. The notification management, the widget system, the animation curves, even the font choices. And Oppo isn't alone. Samsung's One UI has been drifting closer to iOS conventions for years. Xiaomi's HyperOS leans in the same direction. What we're seeing isn't just one company copying Apple, it's a whole ecosystem converging in the same design philosophy. One that Apple created, one that Apple controls, and one that Apple is better at. Now this is where it goes from frustrating to genuinely concerning. Since the beginning, sideloading, installing apps from outside the Play Store, was Android's superpower. Apps some developer built at 3 AM in their basement, emulators banned from the Play Store, YouTube without ads. Oh, I miss those. Those are apps Google doesn't want you touching. Getting software for free off sketchy sites. Okay, I can't officially endorse that, but that was the beauty of Android. Download it from anywhere, take the risk. If the FBI shows up, that's on you, dog. It's It's freedom. iPhones can't do any of this, never could. Apple's whole walled garden thing, beautiful, polished, but you're absolutely not allowed to bring outside food. Android was the alternative. The we trust that you're an adult option. Now, can I remind you of something that Google, the owner of Android, announced a while ago? Because it came out and everyone was so mad, everyone was so ready to fight, and then boom, 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 we got distracted by all the madness in the big 26, and we forgot about it. It was that starting September 2026, all apps, including sideloaded ones, would need developer certification to install. In practice, that means a one-time toggle in developer settings followed by a 24 hours waiting time before you can restore sideloading. Their reasoning: protecting users from malware. Which, okay, fine, sure. The society needs kind people like Google right now, yeah? Except there's already a warning when you try to install a third-party software. So Google's solution to people ignoring the warning screen is to remove that choice completely. And here's the thing that nobody is saying out loud enough. That is, put it on screen. That one doesn't stop malware. It just means that there's a name attached to it. Some developer can still upload something horrible, get certified, and destroy your phone. The only difference is that Google now has a LinkedIn profile to point at when, in case something goes wrong. A LinkedIn profile, that's the security plan. Groundbreaking stuff. And this is now where it gets genuinely funny in a painful way. Because while Android is out here locking down Android, Apple is opening up. For literal years, Android's whole identity was customization. You wanna change your default browser? Done. Default email app? Done. Make your home screen look like Windows XP fever dream? Absolutely, go for it. Apple said no to all of that. Apple said, here are the apps we've chosen. If you don't like them, you're wrong. But the EU started making Apple's life very difficult. They forced Apple to ditch Lightning and move to USB-C. They forced them to allow third-party app stores. They pushed for better cross-platform compatibility, third-party notifications, AirDrop alternatives for non-Apple devices. Apple did not want to do any of this, but they did it, and now iOS has custom default apps, better icon customization, and more openness than it had had in the last 15 years. So to recap, Apple is being forced to be more open while Android is choosing to be more closed. Nobody asked for any of this, nobody wanted this, but ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Real quick, okay, look, we have a problem. I have a problem, but it's something you can help out with. You've probably noticed that the channel is still under 1,000 subscribers, and I know, before you get mad, let me explain. See, if you subscribe and help me get to 1,000, then what? Then I can get something to reinvest in the channel and you'll be watching better videos. Okay, here's my honest take. Google has spent the last 5 years dismantling what made Android worth choosing. The freedom, the customization, the trust that it's your device and you can do whatever you want with it. They've replaced it with AI subscriptions, certified app ecosystems, and a pricing structure that makes the iPhone look reasonable. And manufacturers followed them off the cliff, copying Apple's numbers, copying Apple's colors, copying Apple's buttons, and competing with Apple's prices without competing with Apple's quality. I think Android isn't dying, it's betraying itself, and Google is doing it on purpose, betting that most users won't notice until it's too late to care. The people who care, they're already on Graphene OS, or they're about to be. If you're not ready to give up Android yet, look into custom ROMs, Graphene OS, Lineage OS, and if none of that sounds worth it, and if you just want a phone that works and you're done fighting about it, the iPhone 17 Pro comes in a very nice orange. Apparently. Gosh, I hate that I know that. Okay guys, I know it's been forever since the last post. A lot of you have been reaching out, and not a lot of it, some of you have been reaching out on Instagram thinking I quit. But we are so back, we are locked in. Hopefully we get to the big 1,000 very soon. But yeah, take it, bye.